What the hell was that?
I said don't react to it. That's exactly what I said. I said let it go. And that's exactly what you reacted to it.
I can't. I had to react. That was weird.
Yeah, I was, I picked the worst Genesis song one could. And I want to see what happens.
All right. So that's what happened anyway. I reacted.
Well, I want to see what happens with the people that pay the bills to see if they could tag it or not. If I avoided it, we'll find out.
Gotcha. So wait and see. Let's see. Stay tuned, folks.
You're gonna trust me. There'll be a tweet of me bitching about it.
All right. Oh, I know that. I know how you operate, Dan.
Right, I know.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining Dan and My's private conversation.
If you haven't left yet, welcome.
It's the Stadium Journey podcast. Thanks for joining us. We have a podcast because we also got a website, stadiumjourney.com. It's actually the world leader. We like to call ourselves the world leader in sports travel information. We've got reviews of over 2,600 stadiums from all around the world. And we have social media stuff too. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Threads. What's the new ones? Blue Sky, Half Wing, Red Hat.
Spoutable, Tumblr. No, Tumblr's not new.
Pop Carts, OnlyFans.
Mastodon, Grindr.
Grindr. Oh, I'm so glad you got it before
I did. I always bring up Grindr.
Yeah. Like, share, and follow us everywhere, wherever you see Stadium Journey.
Especially on Grindr.
Yeah, especially on Grindr.
Sandwiches and all kinds of fun.
Grindr is what we call submarine sandwiches up here in New England.
Sometimes I'm also wrong.
To find other episodes, if you want to check out, if you love this witty banter that we're displaying right now and you want to listen to more of it, you can check out old episodes of the Stadium Journey podcast simply by typing in HIAC Talk Radio Network, wherever you look for your favorite podcast. You'll find us there too. If you're somebody who would rather look at our pretty faces while you hear our voices, go to our YouTube channel, Stadium Journey. And if you want to be part of our studio audience, just follow any of us on social media and we will get you there, or we'll die trying. So before we get started, let me...
No. I'm not dying trying. If you don't get there, that's on you.
Yeah, really.
All right, let me take a minute before the train goes completely off the rails and introduce everybody. So Dave Cotney's here. Follow him online at ProFan9. Mark Viquez is at Ballpark Hunter. The above average comedian Dan Colachico's here too. Follow him at DanLaw83. Unless you're on Twitter, then he's at DanLawTV.
Yeah.
And
thanks, Elon.
And I'm Paul Baker. Follow me at PuckmanRI.
My account got canceled before that Luigi fella. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh.
That's all I'm going to say.
All right. And tonight, we are very excited to have back on our podcast one of our favorite guests. And I'm not just saying that because he's here on the screen with us, Andrew Bowes from collegefootballtour.com. For those of you who are not familiar with Andrew and his quest, Andrew is attempting to visit every one of the 130 FBS stadiums and is chronicling, he tried to say, his travels on his site. If you missed it when I said it the first time, that's collegefootballtour.com. Andrew, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. And what is new with you?
Y'all know I love being here. You guys just make my day. I'll tell you, you got the number wrong, though. It's 136, and I'm actually looking forward to the future here because they're adding Delaware and Missouri State, so they keep extending my damn finish line. But I'm at Delaware. 115. I know. So I'm at 115 now of the 136 at the conclusion of the season. I just finished last weekend, so it's been good. I have a bunch of great stadiums to talk about, and I know there's a lot of fun things in the college football world to hit. So I'm going to let you guys tee the ball and I'll swing it.
All right. Before you get started, you know where I'm at in my quest for all 136 FBS stadiums? Same place I was last year. 4.
Ooh, me too. Oh, I've been to more than that.
UMass, UConn, BC, and Army.
You guys are slacking. You need to step it up.
Hey, we're Stadium Journey. Nobody says how fast the journey has to be, right?
Local, it's okay. You gotta root for the local.
Not getting any younger, man. Me, not you.
There's that too.
Me.
If I wasn't so insulted by that, I'd leave.
You are leaving.
I am leaving. I gotta run. I will catch you guys in a few minutes. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna help you. Whoop. There he goes. Oh, Dave. Oh, we didn't take it over, right? I don't know what to add.
Oh, I'm up.
Yeah.
Do
I'm
it.
25. How's
Give me a
that?
question. Give me a
It's better
question.
than 4. So, are you upset that Alabama's not in the playoff? Because I'm not. I'm really excited by it. Sort of, but sort of
What?
not. I'm sort of upset by it.
The whole world breathed a collective sigh of relief.
Except for these guys.
I mean, look,
I don't care.
if you're in the SEC, you have a higher level of opportunity, but also a higher level of expectation. So naturally, you are going to have all these fabulous opportunities that no one else has except the Big Ten, perhaps. But you have to show up. You cannot blow it against a 6-6 Oklahoma and a 6-6 Vanderbilt. I'm sorry. And I honestly think SMU and Alabama would play it tight on a neutral field. I don't care what people say.
Well, yeah, I was glad for about 10 minutes because we're heading to Florida for the break and we're going to the RealiQuest Bowl. So I was really excited when my Michigan Wolverines are going to the RealiQuest Bowl, which
But-
they announced. That was awesome. 20 minutes later, it's against Alabama. And I'm upset because my kid likes Alabama and he's going to be in my face the whole day.
Well, I'll tell you, I think it's an interesting matchup in the sense that it's a rematch of last year's Rose Bowl, right? But in the RealiQuest, so and I don't know how many people are opting out for Alabama. Michigan might have a good shot at this thing.
I don't know.
There's
There's something I haven't heard a lot of this year is people opting out. The only thing I've really heard is Deion Sanders, who, I mean, it almost pains me because I don't really like Deion Sanders, but it pains me to say, like, good for you, saying, yeah, my guys are playing.
Yeah.
Which
you
is
know,
different.
I had the very wonderful opportunity, tooting my own horn just a touch, but a very wonderful opportunity to sit in with Deion Sanders in a press conference this past fall. And I had kind of a no opinion about him going in. I'm just going to say that. But I left feeling really positive about him. He supports his players. He cares so much. He has such a great relationship with his son. He cares a lot about where he's at. I know that he could move in a heartbeat, but I want the needle moved for me sitting with him for a while this fall. So, and I'm not surprised at all that he's encouraging his players to stick with the opportunity to be in a bowl game.
I'll be more impressed if he's still in Colorado after his kids are gone.
No, I hear that. And the thing is, when you're Deion, you're going to have a million opportunities that are going to pull you. But I think he'll leave a special mark anywhere he goes. I mean, he's going to be he's a love-hate kind of guy, sort of like Saban is. People love him or hate him. So, just kind of the way it is.
And I don't know how well, you're a Big Ten guy. How closely were you following Mark's Indiana Hoosiers this year?
Oh, they're mine Indiana Hoosiers.
Well, they're in your backyard.
I'm an Iowa guy. yeah, they're just down the road.
Yeah, I'm super excited about Indiana. I'll be it'll be hard for me since Notre Dame. I'm in Chicago, so I get a lot of the Notre Dame hype, and of course Indiana is big here too. But as a Big Ten guy, I'm gonna lean a little towards Indiana. If Notre Dame wins, I'm not going to be disappointed.
I'd like to point out that all it took was a Canadian to make Indiana good.
What am I missing?
The quarterback.
Oh,
quarterback. Yeah. Curtis Rourke.
Sorry. Sorry.
I can tell you this.
Don't apologize to him.
No. I had several friends who bought tickets for the Big Ten championship on Saturday, and they were really hoping to see IU play there, and they were somewhat disappointed when that didn't happen after the Ohio State loss. But for IU fans, when was the last time they got excited about their football team? I mean,
1988.
88.
Ohio State 41-7.
Yeah.
I can pull out random stats like that, but I didn't know that the quarterback was a Canadian descent. So there you go.
Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. He has an older brother too, who also played, because Curtis Rourke played at Ohio last year, Green, Ohio.
Yeah.
Athens.
And
Athens.
his older brother played at Ohio as well. And he flirted with the NFL for a bit and then has come back to the CFL. And people up here are mildly excited because we could end up with like 3 starting quarterbacks in the CFL if Curtis Rourke ends up coming to the CFL, which is unheard of. Like even one is mildly crazy.
Oh, especially when he went 11-1 this year. Is he a senior this year, Curtis?
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about the Indiana program because let me tell you, this is a perfect example of a fan base who hasn't had the experience of this moment, and I love it. That's spreading the wealth in this sport makes it so much better, and I give a lot of props to Alabama for what they've accomplished, but it's nice to see some other teams take their place. That's kind of where I'm at, and I love seeing Indiana on this stage.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. Like I think the tickets for Notre Dame game are about $1,500 a pop.
On the bottom end, I just looked up
on the bottom end. Yeah, that's if you're sitting up on top. Then
that's right. Mm-hmm.
It's too bad they have to play Notre Dame right off the bat, but that's just how it is. And of course. Should be a great game. I mean, the IU and the Notre Dame fans colliding. When was the last time you saw that?
91, apparently. One of my buddies at work today told me 91 was the last time they played. That's something I should know, but he's a Notre Damer.
Yeah.
And but I'll tell you, that's great. I think it's great that they're getting together. I think it's unique. I'm just glad there's no in conference. I was worried about that. I was worried about Indiana playing at Ohio State again. Ugh, snooze. I didn't want any of that.
Did you catch the other interesting stat about that game? So
Indiana Notre Dame?
Yeah. So It's at Notre Dame.
Right.
This will be the first time since 1996 that a broadcaster other than NBC will be broadcasting from Notre Dame.
Wow, that is unique.
That's pretty wild, hey?
It is like the Notre Dame Broadcasting Company. Yeah. And I'll tell you, like that is really interesting. I was also thinking, in this year, the new era of the playoff, it's pretty special that the 4 teams that are hosting are pretty iconic stadiums in Notre Dame Stadium, Ohio Stadium, Beaver Stadium, and Darrell K. Royal. I think those are really just, it's kind of perfect. And Notre Dame's going to be the very first one. That's college football's amusement park. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not huge on Notre Dame. I think I finally pulled the splinters out of my butt from those ancient benches they got there.
Oh, I know.
It's probably one of the most uncomfortable stadiums ever.
Mm-hmm.
Even more than Michigan. And Michigan's very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. It's all about cramming them in.
What's your take on how the new guard kind of took over this year? Like you had the Big Ten being led by Oregon. You had the SEC being led by Texas. Like, do you feel that this is props to those conferences for getting those schools, or is this more of a these conferences were better than you thought they were? Arizona State making the playoff, like
SMU
as Big 12, SMU, all of these kind of new schools in new conferences.
Yeah. I look, when the conference realignment happened, I'm a traditionalist. I've always said that. When conference realignment happened, it was a little bit of a stinger to me to think about, some of these old Rose Bowl matchups now being conference matchups, and that's one example of many. But let's talk about the great matchups we have, like Washington at Indiana. How cool is that? Wisconsin playing at USC, fantastic. These are things that I think that makes it more special. I think seeing fan bases come together and learn more about the country and more about the sport, I think is great. Now, as far as these teams getting into and taking over and kind of dominating, I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Of the 4 teams that joined the Big Ten, Oregon is probably the easiest one to kind of swallow as from a Big Ten perspective, just because I feel like they're Big Ten in the way they play, in the weather they play in. I feel like they have a Big Ten kind of style. If USC or UCLA came in and blew everybody's doors off, it might have been a little more stung. But Oregon rather is a little easier to take. You know, I can't speak for the SEC. I don't know. I kind of like that Texas was in it, but you know, sure they're probably pleased that a blue blood Georgia won. But you know, I think it's fine. I think it actually, if anything, it proves that the alignment is fine, and teams like SMU deserve to be in it and deserve to be a part of it.
I think one of my takeaways is that, you know what, these old conferences were better than they were ever given credit for.
Yes.
Like I'm probably the most, I can handle the shuffling inside. You know, the Big 12 is always shuffled a little bit. I was pretty upset that the Pac-12 dissolved or whatever it did, or Pac-2 now, or I don't know what that's going to look like in the future. Because it really tore up that regionalism, like really bad. Like there's nobody out west now. It's but yeah, it's if you're into the mainstream media, you listen to Paul Feinbaum, it's like SEC, SEC's the best. And I always question that. I was like, well, if the SEC's the best, how come Clemson has won all these national titles, and how come, you know, Florida State won a national title? How come Michigan won? Well, maybe Michigan cheated to get theirs. I don't know. It wasn't just the SEC. And, you know, the apologists will say, well, when Alabama loses to Vanderbilt, oh, well, that's because, you know, the SEC is so tough. Well, why don't they say that when, you know, Washington loses to Washington State or whatever, right? Or Oregon State beats somebody. Well, it's not big. Oh, they see it. That just shows how weak that conference was. I think this has kind of exposed some of the double talk that was going on.
Yeah. And, you know, the transfer portal is spreading the wealth more too, you know, like we're seeing players that, you know, were usually forced to be on Alabama's roster for 4 years. Now, when they realize they're not going to get a chance to play, moving on. And those teams, those players could start for anyone. And so, you know, I think the talent is spreading. We're seeing, I just think it's really good for the sport in so many ways. I think there's a lot of tweaking and working on it that needs to be done. It'll never be perfect, but, you know, I think it's better. I think it's a heck of a lot better. I think the 12-team playoff is better. And again, you know, and I like that they're keeping the Bulls, just throwing that out there. I don't want the Bulls to go away. That's special. Maybe they don't need 43, but listen, I will be watching every one. I don't care. You know, right down to Buffalo and Liberty. Just bring it. I'll take it.
Are you going to any?
No, I thought about it, but you know, this year was I had a lot. You know, I tend to remind people who follow me, I'm also a 5th grade teacher. So there's a lot that goes into that in the fall, and it's a very delicate balance. I still got to 15 or 16 games this fall, and I'm proud of that. 7 new stadiums, and I'm at 115, and you know, managing that with a very forgiving administration is great. But it's good.
So let's go right in. What were the highlights of this season for you?
Well, I mean, I have to start with Oregon. And, you know, I was given, before we really knew how great they were going to be, I went to see Oregon host Michigan State on a Friday night. And I was on the sideline for pretty much the entire game, and really got to feel the boom of that stadium. I mean, Oregon, you know, I'm not saying I doubted the noise and talking about how loud Autzen can be and the way it's constructed, but I was waiting to experience it and feel it. And both my partner and I felt it. He was in the press box most of the time. I was on the sideline most of the time. And from both of us walked away from it going, this place is loud. And let me tell you something, 2 weeks before that, I was at Syracuse, and that place is loud because it literally keeps the noise in. This felt like Syracuse, maybe even more, without a lid on the stadium. And it really is, top 5 loudest stadiums in the country. And yeah, that was my view, like no joke. And it's beautiful. Look at those mountains in the background. Stunning. I mean, it really is. Like Oregon is quite a gem, and it's a lovely place. And Eugene is such an awesome town. Really fortunate to have gotten the opportunity to experience it the way I did, and it's a place that we want to go back to often.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Eugene. I happened to be there during the summer and walked onto the stadium along with the track and field stadium. And you're like, if I can just be here for a game, like my adventures to college football stadiums are always during the summer when there's right before the season starts. So I get to walk on these stadiums, but yet to be at a game.
Yeah.
Like Husky Stadium in Washington. I was there before a game, be a nice experience. And Eugene is one of those pretty college towns, even if it's in session or not. So anybody listening, definitely check out the mom and pop restaurants, the breweries, some of the wineries.
It is a absolute bucket list for college football fans, and if it isn't, it should be. And if you don't know enough about it, you should. And that's why we're here, right?
You always have the you don't wear the other team's colors thing, right? Like,
right.
That's not necessarily a good idea. So when you go to Oregon, do you have to like make sure that you're not wearing like Under Armour stuff, or is that like a thing there?
Great question. I went straight to the Oregon bookstore and bought myself a Nike Oregon sweatshirt, and I was ready to go. I had bought an Oregon shirt online that didn't have any Nike or anything on it at all. But it was a little chilly, so I had my Oregon sweatshirt that I bought, and so I could feel like I fit in. That was one, there was one place I really wanted to ensure that I walked away with a souvenir.
Yeah, I remember when Scott Van Pelt used to have radio show in the afternoon, and he used to talk about Oregon and Autzen all the time, and he seemed to be the only one. He was always talking about how great it was, how loud it was. It was all this environment, and like nobody else was talking about it. And it always kind of stuck in the back of my head that maybe this is a bigger bucket list item than people give it credit for.
It is. It is shockingly loud, and it you can feel it rattle you. And I mean, and again, it's one of those places that just kind of has it all. That's how I feel about Madison, Wisconsin. It has that same kind of aura and that same kind of energy and that same kind of feel. But to your point, what a bonus for them to be in the Big Ten, because now they're getting a lot more play across the country. And I think a place like Oregon, I don't want to make it sound like Oregon is an unknown. People have known about Oregon being an awesome place for the past 20 years, but I think it's going to be even more known as they continue to rise in the Big Ten.
But as a traveler, I mean, I don't think, you were talking about Notre Dame and its place in college football and whatnot. And, I would think of Alabama. I would think of Georgia. I would think of Texas, Oklahoma as, places you got to go. Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State has their little thing, the swamp. I would have never have thought Oregon just doesn't come up in that group of, the destination kind of.
That's because they haven't had the legacy of all the other teams you've mentioned. All those other teams you've mentioned have had a history of football success. Oregon hasn't. I mean, really, people forget that Oregon was horrible. I mean, horrible. It wasn't until the mid-90s when they went to the Rose Bowl. Lost to Penn State in that one, but that people started to pay any attention. They were awful. And so they were kind of a forgotten team, whereas the Alabamas and the Auburns and the Georgias and all those teams you mentioned were decades long of history. And so, Oregon, again, not so unlike Wisconsin, have become relevant in the past 30 years. Wisconsin only gets an edge, I think, because they are in the Big Ten.
So if you started off with Oregon and it was that great, did that mean the rest of your trip was like, the rest of your trips were just down from there?
No, not at all. I mean, you know how I roll. Every place I go is magical in one way or another. The next day, we went to Oregon State and saw them play Colorado State, and it was Reser Stadium up there is just beautiful, a beautiful area in Corvallis as well, and incredible fans there. And we saw an overtime win, a crowd rush, and that was exciting. And there's another underrated gem in college football, and they unfortunately have to live in the shadows of Oregon's success, but it's another great place. And if you were going to an Oregon game and had the opportunity to get to Oregon State, I would definitely encourage that too. So that was an outstanding location. Wonderful place to go. Beaver Nation. Never thought I'd like the Beavers. And then moving on, like Nevada, we went to just recently, and San Jose State. Those were a little smaller, but let me tell you something. Great fan bases, I thought. Nevada, great fan base. And San Jose State, I'll tell you, San Jose State, you want to talk about a unique stadium feature. I kind of made fun of it for a while until I actually got to go in it. If you see San Jose State Stadium, it's almost like a backward C, and then one entire side is an athletic complex from end zone to end zone. So they just said no bleachers here, no stands, an entire it looks to me kind of like, that's the back end of the stadium. On the left of it, see if when you walk in here, see now this is before the one you're looking at now. On the left, they were still under construction there. That right there in the middle is the upgrade. But that right there. So that right there, at first I was joking. I was like, it looks like an IKEA distribution center, but
yeah.
But I got a chance to walk through it and kind of tour it, and I'll tell you that entire all of that you can see up above, the yellow kind of outlined place, and then all along that is wonderful seating and like luxury seating, and then underneath it are all the locker rooms and meeting rooms and everything. Yeah, that was when it was under construction. I think they originally had thought like, let's put in bleachers, but then they went with the complex there, and it's super unique. I liked it. It actually was pretty cool. So, it's a unique stadium. I always kind of wanted to go to that one of those weird ones that I was like, I really want to check it out. Played Stanford in Bay Area game, and they won late. It was great. Had a good time there. That was definitely the most unique stadium feature I had seen this year. And then, of course, we went to Boulder, Colorado, Syracuse, UMass, and New Mexico. Those were some of the other ones. And my standard, and Central Michigan. Sorry. And my
Fire
standard.
Up Chips.
Fire Up Chips. And then, of course, I went to Camp Randall a few times, as I always do. And really cool, did 2 games at the makeshift Lakeside Stadium, at Northwestern.
That does look nice.
It was just... makes you wish that they were building the stadium there, but
the new one looks nice too.
Say again?
They're playing there next year as well, correct?
Yes, and so their plan is to do 4 games there in September, October-ish, and then 2 games at Wrigley Field. Yeah. Honestly, I just November in that stadium with the wind whipping there,
that would be terrible.
Would just be murder.
Yeah, I need to get up there because I thought about doing that this year. I just wasn't up in Chicago for any family reasons. But
well, let's talk in the off season. Maybe we can figure out a way to coordinate, because I'm going to go to one more game there next year.
Yeah,
they got some good former Pac-12 teams coming in, which I think would be kind of interesting. So, we'll talk about it. I'm definitely at least go to one.
So is the pricing for Northwestern gone crazy because the capacity is so low?
I thought it was going to be so challenging to get in when they were selling tickets online through Northwestern. There were very few available, and I picked up 2 for the Duke game at $89 face value behind the end zone, and then as the game approached, the Duke game on a Friday night, all these tickets started popping up on StubHub for like 20, 30. I'm like, damn it. It's like, why does this happen? So it's weird. I mean, like, it's kind of hit or miss.
See, that's when the fees come into play. Then you're like, oh, well, you can put that in your brain. Oh, well, with the fees, it would have been like
not on tickpick.com. No fees.
There's fees. They just don't publish it.
Well, they don't publish it. Hey, if you're telling me you're paying, you're charging me $25 and that's all I have to give you, that's what I'm happy with that.
So you're saying they're upfront with their costs?
Yeah, kind of like in England, upfront.
You could do that. You could do that on StubHub too. You just slide the slider, include fees.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yep.
I don't know. That's what I try to do for the Big Ten Championship. I think tickets were might have been $18-20 at one point. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go. And then all of a sudden they shot up to 60.
Yeah, see, that's what I was hoping that for the Reliquist Bowl too. Then Alabama got it. I'm like, oh, these aren't going to drop.
No.
Yeah. And it's so much closer for them to just drive down,
Yeah.
They got nothing to do.
Yeah. My son's mad because I got us tickets on the Michigan side.
Yeah.
Screw 'em.
Oh, well, so what? Too bad. Oh, and they've got nothing to do, I mean, they're going to want to go to this bowl game. They're not going to the playoffs, so they're in.
Oh, yeah.
They're in no matter what.
Yeah,
like, they are some fervent fan base.
Also, we're looking at, we're going, my son and I are going to go to the Gator Bowl, and that's Duke and Ole Miss.
Oh, I think that's an interesting matchup.
I think that might be a little bit more interesting than Michigan, but I don't know. Ole Miss was supposedly in the mix, but I don't know. Again,
I think the most intriguing, I posted this on X just recently. I think the most intriguing bowl game this year is Illinois and South Carolina. A pair of 9-3 teams.
Oh, Citrus Bowl.
Yeah. New Year's Day has a semi, like, just barely missed the playoff feel to it. Couple of teams that maybe for expanded to 16, maybe. But like that seems like a really interesting matchup to me. And I think it's a couple of teams that aren't going to necessarily want to opt out. I think they're actually genuinely interested in being in the bowl game.
So what does the next season look like for you? If you got, what did you say about, you got about 20 left?
21 now. Thank you, Missouri State. And I'm going to go, my thought process is to try to break it down 8 next year, 8 new ones. I go to about 15 or 16 new games every year. 8 next year, maybe 7 the year after that, and 6 the year after that. And some combination or the other. I want to make sure the last year, which is probably going to be 2027, is kind of a big one. I have a lot of friends who want to join me. I've kind of figured out where I want to go. I'm not
finishing up in Buffalo.
Not Buffalo. I'm sorry. I can't. All I'm going to say, I'll tell you this, and anybody who cares, I'm not going to reveal what I'm thinking, but
you already told me where you were going to end up.
Did I? All right, I'll put it in riddle form.
That's your story. I'm not going to.
All I'm going to say is right now I'm thinking about a place where no matter what time of year, I don't have to worry about the weather. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say. And that's why one of the big reasons why I'm picking this is that if I have a lot of friends coming and visiting me in this place, I don't want weather to mess it up for my last one.
Amherst, New York.
Not saying a word. You can go ahead and figure that out on your own. Riddle me that.
Buffalo.
God, no. I will say I thought about, like, Boise was one of the places I was thinking, like, I haven't been there. I was like, oh, I really want to, like, make that'd be a fun last one. But then I thought, God, Boise in October could be a total roll of the dice.
Smurf turf.
I know. So, but hey, I will say this. I did something this season that I've never done. And this was my 20th season in doing college football tour. I started in 2004. It's my 20th year doing it. And in those 20 years, I have never been to an NFL game. I want to throw that out there. I've never been to an NFL game. Ever. But I did go to a football game I've never been to. I went to a Division III and saw number 1 North Central College, who's in the semis right now of the Division III playoffs. They are literally in 40 minutes from my house in Naperville, Illinois. and I had a weekend off, and I was planning on just chilling at home, and I thought, screw it, I'm driving. Like I can go right here to see number one. So I did that, and they were so, I mean, they were totally lovely and welcomed me so graciously. And I did everything I could to put a spotlight on the D3. And I'll tell you, there's so many good D3 schools in the Chicagoland area. I really want to explore it a little bit more. North Park University is like 3 blocks from my house.
The Monon Bowl down here in Indiana.
Uh-oh.
A great
Did
division.
you hear that?
Tell me about
the expansion.
No.
Well, it's Wabash and DePaul. They play in this.
Oh, yes.
The Monon Bell. And I mean, they bring in extra stands. They'll get about 10,000 people a game. I have a couple videos from both stadiums if you go to my YouTube page. And DePaul actually just played John Hopkins at DePaul this Saturday, lost 14-9. Almost scored a touchdown by a couple inches at the last play. So
I will check that out on your page. And I've heard about that rivalry, and that, no, there will be no expansion, Dave. I'm not doing that. I am after my tour. I'll tell you one thing. I would love to pick the top. I'm gonna make a list of the top 20 rivalries in college football and go to all those. Like, I've been to Michigan, I've been to Ohio State, but I haven't been to Michigan versus Ohio State. That kind of thing, and just go back to a lot of my favorites and just keep doing my thing and the way I want to do it,
Well, as I'm sure anybody who's written for Stadium Journey for a little bit of time will tell you, you realize quickly that the journey just never ends. It just never ends.
Well, it's good.
You have to, it is good, but you also have to have that idea that I'm never finishing. I'm never going to achieve what I want to achieve, because what I want to achieve changes all the time. And I don't know if you guys are getting this or not, but I think Ralph Wiggum just scored a touchdown for the Bengals. This is bizarre. You got to check this out. The Simpsons game.
Oh, that one. Oh my God. I saw an ad for that. How strange.
It is. Yeah. Ralph Wiggum just scored a touchdown. Thrown from Bart, who was Joe Burrow.
What in the world? What is this? Where is this? Where is it coming from? Like, why? That is just such a.
So there was lots of questions as to why they're not flexing this horrible game of the Cowboys and the Bengals out of Monday Night Football, and it was because of this promotion. I don't know, Dan, if you could get the picture that I sent you. I sent it on the chat. If you can put it up. But it's like watching a video game, but it's real.
I can grab it. Hold on.
It's kind of crazy. But yeah, they had to do all this prep work for this game. So
well, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's just like it's head scratching sometimes, but whatever it is to grab in an audience,
Well, yeah, you're trying to grab a younger audience.
Hold on, I'll do you one better if you give me like 30 seconds to a minute. Hold on.
They've done the Nickelodeon games too, haven't they? Where the guy scores a touchdown and they show slime. They show the like slime drop on the guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're just
keep
killing
going.
this.
What network is that on? It's Fox, right?
No.
What
definitely not Fox.
What
or is it? I don't know. ESPN.
This is riveting listening material. I can talk about some great teams. Alabama's amazing. Bryant Denny Stadium's an awesome place to go. Everyone's got to go there. What else can I talk about?
Dead air.
Fun day football.
Georgia. Awesome.
Can't you see like Nick Saban as a Simpsons character?
I gotta tell you,
roaming the sidelines, and
I'll tell you, ever since he joined College Game Day, Nick Saban, another guy who I was sort of like didn't have a huge opinion about. I've really gotten to like him a lot, especially as an announcer. He is, and I like the way he's kind of picking at himself. He's like, well, I used to hate the rat poison and now I'm it, like I'm the guy who's thrown out all, I love that. I love that he's like, self-deprecating humor is like awesome. So like, it's good to see him do that. I've really kind of grown to like him. And the way he rolls his eyes at Pat McAfee all the time is like comic gold.
Which is good, because I can't tell you how often I roll my eyes to Pat McAfee opening his mouth and speaking at all.
So
Like
He's
it's
a lot.
so audible that people across the country can hear how hard my eyes roll when Pat McAfee speaks.
So not just football, but it definitely happened in basketball. Like I think we're feeling the reverberations of the transfer portal of NIL, where guys like Nick Saban and who was the Virginia basketball coach that quit? Like
Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett, right? Where they're getting out because
Yeah.
the landscape is changing. So do you think we're going to see like these lifetime college coaches, or are they just going to be recycled? Like, I mean,
don't
not necessarily. I'm not necessarily Nick Saban, because he's a once in a lifetime
ones
kind of
like-
coach. But
Maybe only of the ones who are on the literal end of their career, like at the ledge, because it's either adapt or go away. Like, it's like, so like the Sabans who are 70 in their 70s are gonna be like, it's a lot easier for me to just hang up, my whistle. But people like, say, a Brett Bielema, for instance, he's just gonna roll with a change because you've got to, like, if you want to keep coaching, you got to. So I don't.
well, and they've also there's this new position that's been created. This general manager, rather famously, Adrian Wojnarowski, who was the big basketball insider for ESPN. He quit ESPN to go be the basketball GM at his alma mater at St. Bonaventure. So, are the
Andrew
coaches
Luck.
even going to have to deal
Luck
with
at Stanford? Andrew Luck at Stanford too.
right? Yeah, but
Mhm.
are the coaches even going to have to deal with that stuff, or is this going to be like the general manager deal?
Great question. I mean, this is part of what. Oh, good Lord! Here it is.
Touchdown, Ralph Wiggum. Actually, I like Itchy and Scratchy on the.
I'm learning. I
I was looking for the actual broadcast, but I couldn't. It wasn't loading fast enough, so I just went to highlights. Sorry.
I listen. There are 1,000 questions. There's so much changing right now. 2024 was the year that everybody was looking at and saying playoffs are going to change. All this is going to shift around now, and so many things we didn't expect. Conference realignment and now the NIL and transfer portal. Yeah, there are so many questions that don't have answers, and that's kind of the joy in it. Is what is going to happen, and who is going to be taking control, and how are we going to manage all of this? I'll tell you one thing for sure right now. Is that the seeding for the playoffs better change, because I don't believe, in my opinion, that Boise State and Arizona State, they should be in it for sure. But I'm not sure that they should have a bye. I feel as though there are teams that they're going to have to reevaluate the seeding, is what I'm saying, is because it's hard to put a Boise State or an Arizona State above some of these other teams who have one or two losses and maybe one loss and didn't win their championship game or whatever, but did really well. I don't know, but what?
That's the part that kind of bugs me about college football is all of these apologists. Alabama is one of the top 12 best teams. It doesn't matter that they have 3 losses. Well, it does matter. That's the whole point.
That's the point.
If the conference championships do not mean anything, then they shouldn't exist.
SMU had a great point. SMU and their whole organization had a great point. Like, they had been better off if they had missed the playoff by losing at the buzzer to Clemson. They'd have been better off sitting at home and just backdooring into the playoffs. So, you can't say that a conference championship game, it has to have some sort of reward. I think they got the 12 best teams in. I think the seeding is arguable, but in the end, you're going to have to beat those teams anyway to get there. So whatever. But, I think they did it. And I think the 12 is a really good sweet spot. I can see them expanding it again down the road, probably at some point. But when it gets down to it, and I said it long before, last year, when I think Georgia was the best team. and they missed out. And, and that is an argument that is actually consequential. But the 12 to the 13th team, I'm sorry, you lost 3 games, 2 of them to teams that were, Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. It sucks. Could Alabama win the whole thing? Yeah, probably. They could probably win it. There's a handful of other teams I could say could probably win it too. But in the end, you gotta show up. And like I said earlier, being in the SEC has great opportunities, but it also has higher expectations.
Yeah, it'll be different this year because now you're going to have to put together a string. You have to win 3 or 4 games in a row, which,
right.
At most you had to win was 2.
But isn't it nice? Isn't it nice that in November, if you have 2 losses, you're not out. Even 3 in some cases. If you have a good team coming up ahead of you, you still have a shot at getting in. You may have a shot like a Clemson still has a shot. It makes this regular season so much more relevant. Before, listen, when Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois in September, that would have been a death sentence for the playoffs last year. Now look at them. They're set, so I think it's much more of a forgiving system to teams that deserve to be there.
Yeah, it's more forgiving. I'll give you that. I'm not sure that's what I wanted, but
well, I don't ever want to see a team that's as deserving as, say, Florida State and Georgia last year miss out. That was pretty brutal. And, that just terrible for both teams, I think. And that wouldn't happen in this system, so when you get down to the 13th team, of course you can make an argument. You can make an argument at the 65th team or the 69th team in basketball.
Wait. That happens in March.
That's what I'm saying. Right. I'm just saying that there's that argument there too. So, that's
I think the bigger issue now going forward is going to be who's making those decisions. And
that's
with the big, who's the head of the committee? Well, it's Ward Manuel, who's the AD at Michigan, right? Like too many Big Ten voices, too many SEC voices.
That's true.
I think honestly, I think the committee probably wanted to put in Alabama, but I think they needed to save face.
It might have been the path of least resistance for the committee.
They might have been crucified had they put Alabama in at
Correct.
3 losses. And
I'm not saying Alabama isn't deserving. If they were in, I understand, because when it comes down to the 12th or 13th team, it could have gone either way. But also, you got to win the games. That's just the way it is. Got to win the games.
I think the team that's going to be difficult to gauge going forward is going to be Notre Dame, because those common opponents they're not going to have, right? Like their schedule's kind of here, there, and everywhere. Right?
I saw something today. It said Notre Dame and Indiana have one common opponent. It was Purdue, and Notre Dame beat Purdue 66-7 and Indiana beat them 66-0. What does that mean?
Well, that's got to mean that Indiana's better.
That's right. They had a better defense.
That's crazy.
Man. Yeah, I think ultimately all these changes, you're going to have a ton of things that are going to go wrong, but you can't have change without there being some debate and argument. And I still think this is a better system than anything we've ever had. And so going forward, there'll always be tweaks. And just like you said, the stadium journey's never finished. College football will never be perfect. That's what makes it great.
Yeah, it's. Hey, this is year 1 too, so I guess we'll see what happens, and we'll see, where we end up going forward. And I don't know. I liked the way it was before, just because it was different, and
it's different now.
It is, but they're trying to make it closer to,
Rutgers.
Whatever.
Checking out Rutgers on my page there. Great.
I wouldn't know why I did that.
Well, the original team. Yeah. So this is my YouTube page, which I desperately need followers. So listen, anybody who's on there, I need followers on YouTube, please. But yes, every one of my stadiums I go to, I walk you through campus and give you a feel of what it's like to be there. This is the birthplace of college football, Rutgers, 1869. Formerly Queens College, 1766. There's me jumping.
Nice.
And boy, Rutgers was having a bad season that year, but I turned my camera towards everything that makes it look pretty. I try my best. But it was
New Brunswick.
That's a great place. Rutgers is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Did you get a fat sandwich?
I think I just pulled both of my knees apart.
You know what's funny? They say that's the birthplace of college football, but that was a soccer match that they played.
I know. But, yeah, I know.
But it was the first time two colleges played each other in any kind of sport. So
I do love the signs that they hold up there. National champs, 1869. That's pretty good.
Yeah, they played 2 games.
Yeah. So like I'm gonna be on the lookout because I have about 4 years of episodes to throw out there, and then I also have my podcast Sports Balls that you can see there, which is going to be renewing its 2nd season. We're looking forward to it. Me and Muffy Fish Basket. We actually have former NFL New England Patriot Ryan O'Callahan joining us for a couple episodes.
The greatest name I've ever heard.
So we're looking forward to that.
It is absolutely the greatest name I've ever heard.
Well, I know.
Fluffy Fish Baskets.
What do you guys talk about on Sports Balls?
Sports.
Sports Balls, the show about sports for people who hate sports. You know, it's a lot of fun because it's one of my drag queen friends, and we just banter. It's fun because I teach her about sports and she wants nothing to do with it. And it's just hilarious. It's basically a big old gag. It's like I know. It's just a big old gag.
Did you get this professionally done somewhere? This
yes.
Picture? Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, she has a lot of contacts.
Nice
with that kind of stuff. So that was nice. And but yeah, no, it's fun. Those are gonna be my 2025 will be putting out a ton of stuff on YouTube, about 4 years backlogged on some of those Stadium Shorts episodes, and then another season of Sports Balls. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're way behind on the Stadium Shorts this year. I don't know what you're doing.
I know, Dave, you're like my only fan, but
that sounds weird.
Listen,
that does sound weird. I'm sorry. Ugh.
No, it sounded perfect. It's so hard to keep up with posting, and I have like 6 reels in the can right now too. Well, I'm trying to.
I don't know. Do you feel the same way? Like my problem is I have like 17 project ideas up here, but then I also teach 5th grade, and that's like 75 project ideas over here, and then I all these other things I'm doing, and but I'm focused. Like this is it. I'm catching up.
It's just a
fight. Gotta teach your 5th graders how to edit your videos for you.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, if only you knew a guy who edited videos. No, it's daunting because I have no illusions of getting like ad revenue. I don't care about that anymore.
Precisely.
But I just want somebody to see it. If it's 3 people or
oh my gosh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but they have in the box, they have Jerry Jones sitting with Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Jerry Jones, is it Mr. Burns? I got it.
I'm sorry. I had to interrupt that. That was.
Oh my God.
I was about to go on a bitchy rant, so I'm glad you.
So anyway,
we missed it.
We've been yakking for about an hour here, so
yeah,
we're gonna wrap it up. So Andrew, thanks for coming on. How about you give us the official where to find you and your social media-ness and all those good things.
So Andrew's College Football Tour is my thing. X is where I post the most stuff and most regularly. It's at college_FB_tour. Everything else is at College Football Tour. YouTube and Instagram. Give me a little love there. And my goal is to whatever university and the FBS that you went to, my goal is to make you proud that you went there. I showcase the best of every university I go to. I love it all. Every place is magical, and I showcase it all the good stuff.
All right. Dan. where can people follow you? And you got any journeys? We're only a week off, so
Journeys. I got to remember to unmute my mic.
journeying to turn the mute button off.
Journey to hide the share there. I ain't going anywhere. Did I go somewhere? I was going to. This weekend was a disaster. You follow me on Twitter. Well, you follow me on X at DanLaw TV. Also other social media platforms at DanLaw83. For those who don't know, Andrew, I got banned off. My original account got banned on X because I said I wanted to fight transphobe. That's why I got banned. So
Wow.
I'm gonna dead name the shit out of Twitter until it's dead. I'm not editing that one out, Dave. Follow me follow me at happier social media at DanLaw83.
They also have Moe's Tavern on the sideline.
I tried to get a picture of it for
This
this
is
stream
crazy.
and I can't find it.
Mark,
Bumming me out.
you going anywhere this week? And where can people follow you?
Well, I should be at the Teddy Bear Toss for the new Fishers Event Center. That's the home of the Indy Fuel
Cool.
of the ECHL. It's about 4 miles from my home, so that's going to be one of the shortest journeys I've ever had to take in my life to a sporting event. And hopefully I get there, and you can check that out on YouTube. You can also check out my YouTube. You can also check out my visit to the Taylor University Silent Night game this past Friday, where all the fans rush the court and cheer, and they dress up in costumes. What a weird, wacky, wonderful little basketball game that is.
That was cool.
I took half a day off from school, got there a little early. Not much going on in Upland, Indiana, but I mean, the place is packed. Governor Eric Holcomb was in there, so a lot of fun. The students are great, and they sit on top of the court to the point where they just kind of stretch. They're going to hit the They're going to hit the players. So there's also a video on the Stadium Journey podcast, YouTube channel as well. I mean, look how close they are. And
That's
then they
a
do
little
silent
crazy.
night at the end. So so I'm excited about the Fishers Event Center. That's a brand new hockey arena. I think about 8,000, 7,000 people right off the interstate near the Top Golf in Fishers.
Oh
if you
no, that's
remember
too
where that
many.
was.
That's too many people on that. Nope, I'm out.
So follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Social, Blue Sky, whatever it's called, and Ballpark Hunter, and give me a shout out.
All right. Paul is not with us at the moment, but he's probably getting ready to be the PA announcer for every single
New England.
college and small time team in New England. So you can follow I think he's probably got a triple hitter on Saturday where he's calling 3 basketball games and some fencing or something like that. Follow that at Puckman RI.
I'm pretty sure he's also doing the PA at the local emergency room just to fill the time.
That could be too. Since we only got a week, I have only one game between now and our next one, and then I'm going to some junior C hockey. I've been bringing in the junior C hockey, so I'm making a return trip to Wellesley, which is the home of the Apple Butter Festival, and I'm going to see the Wellesley Applejacks, which, if nothing else, is probably one of the coolest names that you could get for a hockey team, and you can follow me at Profan9 for that. So you can join us next week, 1 week, and it's going to be our big year in review. I know that we've got a few submissions from some of our Stadium Journey writers, and everybody's busy filling in their ideas for their categories, and Mark's going to give himself a haircut online. So anyway,
I have a question, Dave, real quick.
Yeah.
Is that it after that one?
That's it.
That's it. I don't think Andrew knows either.
Does anybody really know? I don't know.
No,
Next week is
that's the last regular Stadium Journey ever.
Yep, that's
podcast.
Next week is our last podcast. So.
Dave is retiring.
I'm retiring again. I've gotten into this retiring thing. So
your year in review is it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be the final year review. Which, looking around the world, it might be good time.
Good time to get out.
It might be it.
Well,
I might be going to
We're looking
Springfield to watch
replace
some
Dave.
football.
So we're looking to replace Dave on Sports Talk.
Well, what about replacing? Who are we going to replace you? You wanted to quit too.
Well,
We're gonna talk about it more next week.
Anyway,
It's gonna be irregular. They're still gonna pop up here and there when the boys feel like doing it, and I'll be here to
the point is,
Listen,
make
bro.
sure you're here next week.
be here.
'Cause
or
It's
I
going to
will
be
not-
epic.
not
or
2
I'm not
weeks,
gonna
next
scratch
week.
my back with this back scratcher.
Well,
So-
I'm honored to be a part of it. I'll tell you, you guys are true sports
Pinoculus.
gurus and fans, and you know, I love being a part of it. You guys, I look forward to it all the time, and I'm so honored to be welcomed by y'all. And anytime I can do anything to help, enhance your sports world, you just let me know. Whatever that power is, I don't know what the hell it would be, but
If
I
I have
appreciate it.
anything to do with it, this won't be the last Andrew Bowles episode. Trust me.
I just want to tell folks, Ballpark
Bring
Hunter
Buffy Fish
podcast.
Basket on.
The Ballpark Hunter podcast is still going on, even though that's not going to be every week like it used to. I can't keep up with doing a podcast every week. That's
If I don't get Buffy Fish Basket on the show,
yeah.
I'm gonna be very upset. You tell her I
I'll
said
tell
that.
you. I'm telling you.
I tell you.
Anyway, before we totally go into side conversation,
It's too late.
Andrew
Pork roll.
and Mark and Paul, who's not here, and
Taylor
Dan. I'm Dave, and I'm wishing you all safe journeys, happy trails.
Happy
I
holidays.
bought a bunch of pork rolls.
Forgot to do this.
Kidding. Goodbye.